There's a lot of stench with this, and there's a lot of incompetence. I think the only way you disinfect the stench is you shine a light on it.
So what stinks? Fresno City Councilman Gary Bredefeld says a lawsuit filed against the city by local developer Terance Frazier after the city handed him hundreds of thousands of dollars. The councilman joins us in studio on this hot button issue.
And when they asked me that they wanted for a year up to 18 months, I was quite shocked.
For the first time since being named Fresno's interim police chief, Andy Hall goes on the record why he did not apply for the job and his plans once Chief Jerry Dyer officially retires. And our panel is in place, from the quote-unquote stench to new developments in the Andrew Jans campaign controversy with the Fresno County Board of Supervisors. It's all on KC24, Sunday Morning Matters.
Now, from KC24, your local election headquarters, with your host, Alexan Balakian. This is Sunday Morning Matters.
Hey, good Sunday morning to you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alexan Balakian. You can join the conversation at Real Alexan. Use the hashtag Sunday Morning Matters. Along the way, I sit down with Fresno mayoral candidate Andrew Jans on the next course of action following the last week's cease and desist letter to Fresno County supervisors. But first, Fresno City Councilman Gary Bredefeld is calling out the city attorney, the administration as well, for what he calls incompetence over the handling of taxpayer money. According to an audit by the city of Fresno, more than $1 million is unaccounted for. This as the city offered to give local developer Terance Frazier hundreds of thousands of dollars to finish a downtown project, despite a city audit looking into the bookkeeping of Frazier's Granite Park project. Frazier has since filed a lawsuit against the city for $10 million over that audit, claiming it was unfair and was a political hit. Now, we did reach out to Mr. Frazier for his comment on this, but he did not return our calls. Councilman Gary Bredefeld joins us now after his press conference earlier this week. And, you know, Gary, I do want to start with this. You know, you talk about what happened back in April, where the city attorney, Doug Sloan, was asked by Councilman Miguel Arias, was Terance Frazier and the Central Valley Sports Foundation in compliance? At that time, that audit was still happening. That's when Sloan strictly said, quote unquote, they are substantially compliant. Now you're saying they're not. What went wrong?
Clearly not compliant. I mean, he was supposed to be building volleyball courts, basketball courts. He was supposed to be building a trail. None of that has been done. There's supposed to be a restaurant. None of that has been done. Also, as part of the service agreement, he's supposed to have what they called good general accounting practices. Obviously, the audit reflected something other than that. So there's no way he was or is in compliance.
There's been rumors, though, that Sloan said that because he felt his job was in jeopardy, and that's why he said that. Any truth to it?
Well, I can't speak for why he said what he said. All I can tell you, it's wrong. He is not in compliance with the agreements.
Where exactly is the stench coming from? Multiple places?
Multiple places. I mean, I think there's much blame to be had by all. When the city gave him $150,000 in February following the audit, which reflected all horrendous accounting practices.
And that was for the Granite Park?
That was for the Granite Park. They should have held that back until the accounting was corrected, was fixed. It wasn't. Fast forward to July. And he has now filed a claim against the city for $10 million. Fast forward to August 15th, the city council takes a vote to give him $700,000. 3 of the 5 council members don't even know about that. I didn't know about it. I voted no. 4 council members voted yes to give him $700,000.
Miguel Arias says you didn't do your homework.
Well, that's a lie, which is often the case with Mr. Arias. He was one of the people who got an email, which I submitted to the Beta Show. He was aware of it. He didn't tell anybody about it. And that was very unfortunate, as it was for the city attorney not to share with the entire council. The stench belongs everywhere. And frankly, it also belongs with the city council that they weren't concerned enough about an audit that hasn't been fixed. And they still gave this man $700,000.
Some would say, though, hold on here, because these are 2 separate situations.
Sure.
And 2 separate entities where money is being allowed. The Granite Park situation is different from the downtown project, which is the South Stadium project.
Yeah.
you can't separate the two?
No, because you have the same developer involved. Now, there are other developers who have great reputations with South Stadium, but Mr. Frazier's part of that, and he has this audit which raises lots of questions, and they have not been answered. And so I don't know how you could, in good conscience, give somebody another nearly $750,000 when those questions haven't been answered.
You know, some would also say, hey, wait a minute here. Terance Frazier, he's trying to build affordable homes, rebuild Granite Park, where the city didn't even want to touch it. It was a mess, and they're trying to rebuild it. Are you saying the city and the taxpayers should stop helping finance these things?
No, Mr. Frazier has done some very good things there. I went to Granite Park last week. The fields are being maintained. However, that's not part of the agreement in terms of having soccer fields there. He built them, that was his decision, but there's supposed to be basketball courts and volleyball courts and trails, a restaurant. None of that is there. If the agreement was going to change, the city should have mandated a new agreement. That's where they also fell short.
All right, so your press conference earlier this week, you're talking about a stench. You're talking about, hey, we need to have a revote here.
Yes.
A special council meeting just to talk about these things. Has any of that transpired?
No, and not surprised. There isn't the political will, frankly, or the courage, I think, from the council to do what's right. Look, we're elected to protect the taxpayer money. I can assure you, when you hand over $750,000 with that kind of audit to that same person without those issues being addressed, the taxpayers aren't being protected. That's why I held the press conference.
Terance Frazier's lawsuit says this is a quote-unquote political hit against him. It's an unfair practice of the audit. I don't know what's going to come out in this audit, but we're told that FBI is investigating this. What are you being told?
Well, I haven't been told that. I mean, there's all kinds of rumors. We'll see what happens. But the fact is, the mayor told me that when he came, Mr. Frazier, asking for $150,000 more above the agreed-upon contract, the mayor said, well, I'd like to do an audit. And Terance Frazier said, I'm open to an audit. I have open books. Well, the books are not looking good.
How many inconsistencies are we looking at? And are they criminal?
Well, I don't know if they're criminal. I'm not law enforcement, but there are many inconsistencies. There was over 30 inconsistencies when they looked at 140 different areas of the audit. It is a major league problem. There's money that's missing, over $1 million. There's missing documents, a lot of things that are unaccounted for, and there are lots of questions that need to be answered. And the city council still gave him money without even knowing whether that had been fixed or not. Nobody asked that question except me.
One of your council members, Esmeralda Soria, has a relationship. She's not allowed to vote, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so is this a conflict of interest here?
Well, if she doesn't vote, that's what she's supposed to do. But you know, she has a great friendship with Mr. Arias. They both did a pilgrimage back to Washington, D.C. to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So I don't know if there's influence or not, but there's a lot of stench everywhere.
So what comes of this?
Well, what comes of this is he's going to get awarded $700,000. The questions still have not been answered, and that was the purpose of doing the press conference, to shine a light on what is going on there. And I think when you shine a light, that's the greatest disinfectant to the stench.
But again, we haven't heard anything. I mean, not even the mayor has said anything about this.
Well, the mayor has come out and said that his claim is false, that it's a political hit. There's not an iota of truth into what he's saying. And I believe that. I believe the same thing. There's no credibility to asking for $10 million. And when somebody's asking for $10 million, $4 million for themselves personally, $6 million for the foundation, and they come before the council with their hand out asking for $700,000, you would think council members would pause and reflect. The fact they didn't know that, you would think they'd call a special meeting and have a public airing, which I've called for. They're not doing it. That's against the taxpayers.
All right, we'll see what comes up of it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Gary Bredefeld, the councilman here. Up next, well, our panel's going to weigh in on this. Do they agree with Councilman Bredefeld? Is there a stench, or is the audit in the downtown project two separate deals? Next.